Hey, Blue Table fans. All right, separate video. Yeah, you may have just watched the one with Aaron. And, okay, so first off, in 2012, I had a lot of anxiety. And I'd say I'm a very balanced person. And obviously, you guys see me when the camera is rolling. And sometimes people wonder, well, is he really like that off camera? And the answer is mostly. I'm very usually when other people are around, I get very animated. I want to tell stories, and I like other humans. There are, of course, times when I'm agitated about something, or I'm worried. And this year at Valhalla, so this will be the 5th year that Miranda's been running it, and running it so well. And I went outside for a little walk, and I realized, I'm like, oh, I have no anxiety. Literally not even worried about a single thing. And I'm just, what a relief. So for those of you who are suffering inside, maybe life will get better for you. I don't know your particular circumstance or who you are, but from my experience, yeah, life can get better. A little bit at a time. I worked on myself. I've done a lot of exercises. I have a series on my channel, if you want to look it up, called An End to Suffering. It's not professionally done, but I give a lot of the exercises that I've used over the years to reduce my anxiety level and get my head on straight. So this is a big watershed for me this particular year. Just this morning, walking outside and realizing, oh, I'm not a giant stress ball worried about what's going to happen on Monday when I go back in. So it's really nice. So in 2012, I became interested in something called Wu Wei. Now, I'll admit, I don't know that much about it other than picking it up here and there in different books I've read and reading a Wikipedia article. Wu Wei is effortless effort. And I became interested in this because at the time, in 2012, it felt like I was like flailing my arms just to survive. And I was like, oh, I kind of grew up thinking that life is a jungle, and unless you struggle, you're going to die. So the default is dying, and you have to put in a lot of effort and do everything you possibly can to live, in short. And there's this sort of anxiety in the back of my mind, like, well, what would happen if I wasn't successful in business, or I didn't bring the money in, or the sales weren't there? Or what if my staff was all gone? What if I couldn't work? What if I broke my hands and couldn't paint? I thought, well, what would happen then? And so, of course, the answer to that, if you really think about it, is, well, maybe you lose your house, or am I going to be homeless? So losing my house was kind of the big thing, because if you own a home and you don't make the payments, out you go. And so I became very interested in this effortless effort thing. Like, well, maybe life isn't like that. Maybe life on the default is really good, and if you actually just get in the boat and let the river take you where it's taking you, that result will actually be very good. So here I am. It's 9 years later after sort of getting this concept in my head, and lo and behold, life really is good, and I feel like I've achieved that effortless effort thing. Now, I see it in other aspects nearby me, like Valhalla itself. This year, Valhalla sold out on, Kickstarter in an hour, and lo and behold, there was this doesn't need to be promoted anymore. There's no arm flailing. It just sort of naturally happens. And it's actually it's getting bigger naturally. And I think that's really cool. And in my life, and I may talk about this later, I have achieved this same thing. Like, my life is already good just normally the way that it is. And so I ended up in a really good place, a city that I love. I'm having a really good time. And I didn't end up being homeless. So that was really nice. All right, and for me, I guess the lowest point would just be having to move back in with my mom in Oregon. My mom and her cats. I love you, Mom. Don't get me wrong, but naturally, as a grown man, I would prefer my own life. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and those are just some thoughts about life.